can do it too. Easy as 1, 2, 3. You can do it too. Come along and draw with me. Pads and pencils, a very good start. So when you draw with your heart. You draw with your heart, 'cause you can do it too. You can do it too. You can do it too.
Hi, my name is Lydia Forte-Santiago, and welcome again to our show of You Can Do It Too. And before I start the show, I would like to speak a little bit about my display of portraits. The first portrait that we're looking at is I met Christine, and I had the honor of painting her son, Kent Hall. And she commissioned me to paint it, and I felt really great about doing this painting. I'm still working on it, so there's a little more detail for me to do. The one underneath is one that I really admired, and it's of Thomas Jefferson. And I really enjoyed doing that. It was an old master painting, which I copied, and I did it as a study. To my right, it's a friend of ours, Jay, and this is his family. And I titled this painting Blessed, because of the beautiful children and her and the fruit and everything. And I titled it Blessings. And it was really enjoyable to do. She has the original painting, and this is a reproduction, which I enjoyed the painting so much, I wanted to keep this to myself to show other people. Above that is a friend, and I also had a pleasure of doing this painting, and it's titled Screaming Eagle. And it's in Vietnam, and it's an airborne in the Army, and I enjoy doing this painting too. But today, what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to do portraiture. It's a little simpler, and it's a little different from the other lessons that we were doing with the apple and the pears and the flowers. This is a little bit different. So what we're going to do today is I have some charcoal, I have some vine charcoal, and I have some gum eraser, and I have a caliper that I use with portraiture to measure, and then I have a little magnifying glass that I use for little detail to check things out. So what we're going to do is, I did a little light sketch preliminary just to get started, but I'm going to do it again so you could see how I do it. Now remember, if I can do it, you can do it too. So let's get started. Here we go. So we're going to start, and we're going to do the nice brim hat. And then we're going to do his shoulder and just sketch out his face so we get an idea of where we're heading. Portrait is a little challenging, but it's a lot of fun. And here we have the collar, and we're going to add a little tie he has, and we're going to just bring in the arm. He's sitting on a chair. This is his hand, and it's his fingers, and this is of course his coat. And this is how we start this. Here's my caliper. In portraiture, it has a lot to do with measurements. So we're going to measure. And this is what I do. This is very important. And you put dots. You don't have to go right away. And the eyes, you measure the distance. And then you can put a dot and a dot. You know, you go lightly with this. And then the nose, the measurement of the nose. You measure right here, you put another dot. They're like markings. And then here, from here is the chin. So you go from here to there is the chin. And the mouth would be about there. So you kind of put dots. Just to get a little idea to get started. Now this is what we do. We're going to start off, and we're going to start off with the face. We're going to do his eyebrows. And you look at the shape and his glance, how he's looking. And you don't do anything in the beginning. Most artists get lost in detail. We don't want to get lost in detail, because on the second show I could show you how do we do a little bit more detail. This is preliminary. This is just to do a preliminary sketch. And you use your fingers to kind of blend it in because we're working with vine charcoal and regular charcoal. And then we could just kind of draw in the nose and get the lips just to. Now, before I actually do a portrait, I actually do this first. I don't start with paint. I start, just as I'm showing you now, all of these paintings, I start with a preliminary sketch just to get the idea of the actual portrait. And you see the glance, the face, how he's looking, his eyes, you know, his chin is round. And then after you get this facial, what we do is then we can kind of start, here's his hair, it's coming down. It's soft, you don't have to get into it, like I said, you don't have to do it deep. You just do it lightly, and you just, it's just to like what we did with the other, you're blocking out. Oh, by the way, this is a Franz Hals painting done in 15th century. And I did this as a study. And the reason I did it as a study, because you sharpen your skill and you become very keen with your eye. So I look at an old master's and I try to reproduce it to make my talent and my eye more keen, so what I see. So when somebody commissions me to do a portrait, I can really tap in and get their likeness. So this is why I did this. So if I'm not doing anything and I'm not commissioned to do anything at the time, then I take a study of an old master and I reproduce it. So now this is what I do. I take now after I did this little sketch, I could just start adding in some light, some dark, some shadow. And remember what I told you with the other things, that you start with the darks, you put in your darks, and then you throw in your lights. So here I did the same thing. I start in with the darks, and wherever you see, you could even squint, and if you squint your eye, you can actually see where the darks in. If you're watching this, you could squint your eye, you see like under the chin there would be darkness, so you would put that in, you know. And then over here, because the cheek, you would shadow that in, and the hair is falling here a little bit, and his ear is like about there, and right here there's like a crease on his face, and then you could kind of get it where you begin to try to capture his likeness. And you see his eyebrows, they are like expression he's making. Then I always kind of back up a little bit, not much, but I back up a little bit only to try to see the perspective of the picture, you know. I always kind of do that. It makes me put it together properly. And then here's the chin. He has like a round chin. So we're going to do that. And he's sitting here. And we're going to throw in some dark there too. That's the side of his face. And then, see now, this is very important. I have to use this caliper, and this is the gum eraser. Now here I start kind of erasing a little bit. Take again my caliper, punch in my eyes where I think they go, right here, there, right here. See now, you don't get involved with the detail of this because we're not sure where we're going yet. So you don't want to do that. So you just kind of just lightly. Everything is light. It's the only time you come on heavy is when you're sure. If you're not sure, you don't come heavy. You stay very, very light, you know, before you get to that stage, you got to go to this stage. You got to get this in. And the drawing really is really the main thing of this picture. You know, you have to get the drawing. If your drawing is off, you know what, here's some buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll put in these little buttons to make this jacket look a little bit interesting. And he has a little bit tie there, so we could kind of hang that up. Put the shirt, and then you kind of start highlighting. Now it begins to have some form already, so you could see it has some form. This is the shirt, and right here is his hand that you're gonna put his fingers, and there's a shadow in here because it's the inside of his hand. So you're gonna throw that in too, you know. And in the beginning, you don't have to worry too much about the accuracy, because in painting, as you're moving this along, things keep on changing. See, this, like I'll throw a line in, and then if I see, no, it doesn't go there, then I'll just kind of, that's why I have this gum eraser. I erase it and I move it, and you're moving things about, because you're just basically getting the overfeel of the picture. Here's the top of the hat. Now in the 15th century, this kind of looks a little bit like a Rembrandt, but this was done by Frans Hals, which you've probably seen in the museum. He's the painter that does all those paintings with the chubby cheeks and the smiling faces and everything, and they're really pretty. Switch to this, and I'm going to take this that I'm working with here. This is vine charcoal, and it's easy to work with because you can kind of look at the difference. See that beautiful line? Watch this. And this is, like I said, I always say, if I could do it, you could do it. See, now look what happened. Now I'm a little certain that I did this little illustration and it came out a little bit nice. So now I come back, but I come back and I come back with a little bit more definition. There's that, there would be the shirt. Here would be the shirt. Here's the tie. So what am I actually doing? Remember when I used in my other shows, because this is about the 18th show, remember what I told you in the other shows, you reinstate. All we're doing is we're reinstating. Right here, this would be the jacket, comes down like this. And this is really fun. You could really get into this. It's really enjoyable. And like I told you before, hours pass and you can really enjoy your art. Here's the hand. The fingers are down here, and this is another finger. This, and here this is the hand, so it's like right there. It's hanging, like he has his arm over a chair. So this is why that looks like that. And then we're gonna kind of straighten that out with a little height. Right now, light. Right now we're just working with the shadows. And right here he has two little buttons on the jacket too. Put them in. And then this is, and his arm is resting on a chair, so we'll put it like that. And then his head goes like that. It goes this way, and then it goes like that. And then it goes like this, and like that. This. And portraiture is challenging, and if you like portraiture, you could kind of, a member of your family, you could kind of sketch them just to get the idea. before I actually started doing portraiture and really got into it, I just started to sketch. I sketched my sister, my mother. I just sketched, or I used to go to ride the train, and when I had nothing to do, I would just look at some people that kind of weren't even looking at me, and I would kind of sketch them. And I would get a lot of practice doing that. So that's also helpful. Or on a bus. You could go on a bus and you could practice. And it just gives you a feeling of how to get this. And little by little, you do get it. Now we're going to go back to the face. Let's get these hats. This seems like this hat is the focal point over here. So let's get it all around here. This is a nice hat. It's kind of like a Rembrandt. They all think it's a Rembrandt, but it's not really. It's a Franz Hals, 15th century, that was done. And then here, the hat. Now here's my caliper again. Remember I discussed the caliper? I'm going to measure here. So you get an idea like about there. So I guess right in here, you could start cutting in here, like that, you know. And then his hair, he has hair hanging, so we're going to kind of make that hair like that, there. And there's a little bit hair here too. I could see a little bit over there in the picture. And then that goes like this, right. Now we're kind of getting some feeling for this and how it's going. And we can, oh, here, and his ear is right here. Don't forget his ear. That's like crucial. Put it there, like that. And then you back up and you look at this. Now, right about here again with the caliper, remember what I told you with the caliper, you check it out, because this is, in portraiture, this is the most crucial thing, is measurements. If you don't measure and you don't get these measurements right, you don't get likeness. Likeness comes out through measurements. And then we put the lip right there, and here it's the chin. He has a nice round chin. So we're going to do that. And then the corners of his mouth just turned up a little bit with a little bit there. And then we go light with the lips. Now every stroke, the strokes change. Right in here, there's a little bit of a darkness. There, yeah. So now it's beginning to look good. Oh, and then you have the nose, and you come up a bit. There. Here, you can put in the eyebrows, bring them down. So now you're beginning to get some feeling of this picture. And don't worry about how it comes, because a lot of times I have done so many things so many times before I get it right. So put the eye in, and then I get the other eye over here, put that eye there, you know, and put this like that, and then I just bring this, you see, just to get some shadowness. Because you're molding the face. You're making this, it's planes. You're putting all these planes to the face. Right here, there's a shadow. So we're going to kind of bring that in. And you could see how nice this can begin to look. And what's fun is after you do it, you look back and you're surprised at yourself that you did it. So, and always remember, if I could do it, you could do it. I'm no different than you. This is, oh, right here under his eye, you gotta put that in. And here, we're gonna darken this. So let's just throw some dark. Vine charcoal is very easy to work, because you see, And once this is done, that I have this overall picture done, or at least not totally done, but at least somewhat done, what I do is I spray it with fixative. And the reason being is that you can't actually sketch this and then take oil paint and put it on top of these. That's a Belgium linen canvas, by the way, which is a very fine canvas to paint and the best. And I work with Old Holland paints, which are very good too, to do it. So now I put in my shadows. Now in the next segment of this show, you will see how I detail this. But we're not working with detail now. We're just working with blocking things out to make it look. That's what we're doing, you know. And then I could kind of take this and the hat, put some darkness to the hat, you know. So, and this. So you see what's happening here, you know. And you can kind of make it go like that. There. Of course, on my second show, you will see how this gets reinstated into more detail. But we're not going into detail right now. Right now we're just blocking things out. You initially block things out. And what's good about working with this vine is that if you do make a mistake, which we all do, that's why there's pencils, erasers on pencils, you erase it with the gum eraser because you haven't laid any paint. With paint, you also move things around, but with paint it's a little harder because with paint it's thin on thin. This oil paint has to dry, and then you have to come back and paint a little bit some more, and that makes it a little bit more challenging to do, but it's more time consuming. How I begin this is I just start doing it like this, because whatever mistakes I make, and if I'm sure I will make some, I just go and I just erase it. And then I'd say, oh, let me change this, let me change that, and then I could do it. You know? And then when I come with the paint, I start building it up, because the paint is actually to build it up. This is just to get the idea of the actual groundwork that you could see. He's sitting, his arm is on a chair, it's resting, and it comes like that, you know. And like I said, if you're artists and you want free critique, you can always come to me. I'm at 2110 Forest, and we could have like critique. I learn from you, you learn from me. Artists learn from each other. There's always a way that you apply things maybe a little different than I apply it, and I could learn something from you and you could learn something from me. I found that in art school, that I always was looking at somebody else's picture and see what did they do that I'm doing different. So it's a good thing. We learn from each other. So remember, you can do it too. It's not that difficult, you know. It's really not. And it's fun if you do your family members. You start doing your father or your brother or your sister, you know, they have the patience to sit. You can kind of sketch them just to get going. And you know something, it's amazing, but the more you do this, believe it or not, the better you get at it. It just, you build it up. And at first, in the beginning, you do light, you do very light, because you don't want to do it heavy, because you don't want to, you're not sure. Whenever I'm not sure, I just go light. Then you can start coming in. Here, there's a shadow here that we could see right in the picture here. So you put that in. You put that in. There's a shadow here. You put it in. There's another shadow here because it's, what we are doing is you're molding the face. And there's all these different values to the face, like with the apple and the pear that we did before, you know, so you mold it, you know. And then it begins to sharpen up, you know. And you back up and you look at it, you know, just to make sure that you're doing the right thing here, you know. See, I always look back and back up, and then you can put in some little lights there, like that. And then here's the ear, and here's the hair. There you go. I want you to. There you go. That's good. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, that thing was sliding down a little bit. Okay. Yeah. And then we could take the gum eraser. And we could start throwing in some lights, you know. And here's his shirt. So that kind of looks better. So you see the way it's taking the form, little by little it takes the form. You know, it doesn't just immediately happen, but it take little by little you start shaping this, you know. You want to make, eventually you wanted to make it three-dimensional, you know. So you want, and then his shirt is here, he has some, and then there's the fingers over here, there's one finger here, he's hanging his hand over the chair there, that's like that, you know. And this is all in shadow, because this is distant, you know. So now you begin to see that it has a little bit of form. And this is basically a preliminary sketch. So it's just to get it going. Then after we come back, we'll do more. We'll start doing the detail, and then you get into it. This is about reinstating. You can't let it go. You have to come back. When I was painting Ken Hall, and when I was painting Jay's family, it's like you think you're done, and you're not done, because then I just pull away and you look at it, and I said, I didn't see that. I have to go back to it. I have to fix that. That doesn't look right to me. And then I come back. So it's all about reinstating. And reinstating is what's going to make it work. You know, you keep on reinstating, and then it happens and it gets the way you want it to look. And that's how you perfect the painting. It can't just happen right away. You know, so I'm always glad that you come and join me with this show, and I hope I'm encouraging you artists out there and people that really have a passion for art to really continue their drawing, because if I could do it, as the show says, you could do it. So it's really fun. Get out your pencils, get out your Vine charcoal, start sketching, and join me. And if you need that critique, I would love to hear from you. My website is Lydia Forte-Santiago. So you can go on the website and you can email me, and I would love to hear from you. So remember, join me on the next show. The next show will have the continuation of this little portrait, but it will be in more detail. So you could see the finished product, that it would be more intense, and it would be with, now we've got in our darks. So the next show, I'm going to start punching in the lights, throw in a little bit more darks, punch in the lights, and this way you could see it come to life. So it would look better. After it's done, what I usually do, I spray it with fixative, and I leave it overnight. And then I try to smear it. If it doesn't smear, you're ready to do your painting. So this is the way I do it. So it's always a pleasure having you join me, and it's nice to have you joining my show you could do it too. And by all means, I would love you to come back on the show and see me.
You can do it too. Easy as 1, 2, 3. You can do it too. Come along and draw with me. Pads and pencils, a very good start. So when you draw with your heart. You draw with your heart, 'cause you can do it too.